Hello there, my name is Suzanne Wagner, and I am one of the co-founders of the Wild Women Symposium. And today I have one of my other co-founders, Jackie Brinkerhoff, on air for an interview to discuss what she will be doing at the Wild Women Symposium that will be at the Prospector in Park City, Utah, October 3rd through 5th in 2014. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. So thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to come and talk to us. And so tell us some of the things you're going to be doing for the Wild Women Symposium.
Oh, there's so many things to choose from, and so it was really hard to figure out which classes I wanted to teach. But what I've decided is I have a partner in crime, if you will. So Lene Staker is going to be participating in two classes that I'll be teaching. The first one is regarding past life regression. And I have a fascination with past life regression primarily because it's one of those areas that people don't necessarily delve into a whole lot, but they kind of get glimpses of it, perhaps in their dreams or just kind of little thoughts in their head, or perhaps they have a little deja vu when they go on vacation to Mexico, let's say, and it's like, this feels very natural to me. Why does that? And so there's a lot of that that has come up for me. So on my little journey of learning different modalities, I was very interested in learning from someone that was an expert in this. So I sought out who would be the expert, and I found Brian Weiss. He's someone that you may have seen like on Oprah and some other TV shows and such, and he's an actual psychiatrist and came across this particular topic and domain. And so I sought him out. I traveled and I went and learned from Brian Weiss on how to do this technique. And so now I use it with my clients, and it's actually really neat to work with a client and have them come in with an issue that they've been working on present time and see if there's a pattern or perhaps an echo of what they've been carrying perhaps from a past life. And so while we might be able to carry things and develop blueprints in this lifetime from childhood, there is also that opportunity or perspective of having an experience from a past life that continues to somewhat affect us in this lifetime. So one example of that would be someone who may have a lot of weight issues in this particular lifetime, and they can't seem to get rid of the weight, or they're having, they can't figure it out, whether it's hormones or I'm dieting, I'm exercising. And if you might do a regression with them, you know, there could be some that will find out, oh my gosh, in a past life, I was perhaps not fed, or I died of hunger, or there's, a lot of different situations like that. And so now in this lifetime, it's the body's like, I don't want to die of hunger, so I'm gonna, hoard all this, keep all of these calories, and so there's a lot of different things that we can explore, whether it's regarding relationships or behaviors or beliefs. So anyways, that's regarding past life.
I love past lives. I think that when people say, oh, I don't believe in past lives, I always say, well, you haven't had an actual experience of a past life. And once you have an actual experience of something that there's no way you could know, there's no way to explain it, but it suddenly puts a whole bunch of pieces in your life completely together and makes sense out of something that's been sort of a challenge for you for a long time. It's pretty amazing. I know that with myself that many years ago I always had breathing problems, and I did a lot of active past life regressions, and every one I did, that I discovered, it's like my breathing got a little better and a little better and a little better, and it was amazing how many layers that I actually had that were locked up around past life trauma related to breathing. And when you think of it, death is related to breathing quite a bit, right? And so all the different forms of that. And so, it was incredible that I would bump into these things, and then, it would, like when I did a past life regression, it would tend to unlock something later. So it opens a door, it puts a key in a door, so that then when I would be in a sweat lodge, something would surface in the middle of the sweat lodge, even though I wasn't doing a past life regression. And I love brains because once your brain knows how to get to the door, it will repeatedly go to the door and continue to use that door to teach you more and more.
Exactly, exactly. And I realize some people ask me, well, how do I know like what could be a past life? Well, the one indicator is if you have a recurring dream, that is an echo or a memory. And I know that even from childhood, I keep having this recurring dream of being on this ledge of a mountain, and I'm trying to get this family away from the battle that's happening. And unfortunately, we die and we fall off the mountain. I mean, and I have a fear of heights. Like, I have a terrible fear of heights. If you ask my husband, he'll tell you. And so I started to realize, it's like, oh my gosh, why wouldn't I have a fear of heights if I've died by falling off a mountain to my death? I mean, so that's one way of looking at it. And, you know, I've talked to people that don't necessarily subscribe to the idea of a past life. So another way of looking at it is you are a genetic makeup of your ancestors. And so your bodies have the cellular memory. And so if you don't want to consider it, you know, your own life, your own lifetime, it could be also a recollection of what your DNA is remembering of what maybe something happened up your ancestral line. So it's an interesting way to also connect through a genealogical way, if you want to even consider it that way. So it's very healing. It's very healing indeed.
Absolutely. I mean, for many years, I mean, even with myself, it would be like, gosh, why am I so sensitive to wheat, and why am I sensitive to dairy? And, you know, this makes no sense. And I remember going to China, and they looked at me and they said, well, look at your face, look at your eyes, you're Chinese. And I'm like, I am not Chinese. I'm as Irish as the day is long, right? And then I actually did a genetic test because it kept coming up, like all the Oriental people said, you're Chinese. And so I did a genetic test and found out that I was 18% Chinese.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And so then that physiological thing that I was having was a genetic echo that was going backwards. And, you know, the Chinese don't do dairy, and the Chinese don't do wheat. They tend to do rice. And it was so funny because it's like all of a sudden it's like all these pieces made sense. And I agree with you. So, you know, I love that you're teaching it, because it doesn't matter whether you believe in past lives or you don't believe in past lives. If you can take it on as potentially a genetic memory, and that there are some echoes from the past that are still affecting your conscious memory now, but you don't know why, you can almost think of it like a change history, like you're going back genetically and healing something in your genetic line from your great-great-grandmother, and helping her do a completion at the same time.
Exactly, exactly.
So now I know you're also teaching another class.
Yes, it's called Healing Sexual Wounds. It's an emotional journey. And, you know, this particular class, Lene and I definitely have some journeys and experiences in. And so we're wanting to share this with the women, primarily not to just kind of share our stuff. But what I realized through my journey is that at a young age, unfortunately, many children experience some type of sexual abuse, or it's and it ranges. And so we're going to be addressing that. But in addition to that, it's important to understand that, again, those moments in our childhood create a blueprint and foundation for us. So as we're developing and creating our life and going into adulthood, it's like you're building a house on a foundation that isn't necessarily completely whole, or has a little bit of little offs. And so one thing that I found going into adulthood is that's what I experienced. And so I had some issues through my 30s and such that really rocked my world and rocked my husband's world. And what I found as I was starting to explore, because, you know, things just felt like I just didn't understand why all this was happening. So as I was delving and doing that inner work, I started to realize it's like, oh, that thing back there, that thing that I haven't really told anybody about, that, oh, and wow, this is how it's playing out present time. And so what we'll be doing in the class is not only discussing it, because I feel like it's important that the women realize that they've got a support group, and it's something that if you keep carrying it, it doesn't really benefit you. But if you use it as a stepping stone and work through transcending it and healing it, it can be one of the most powerful things in your life. And so, not that I would say that I'm so grateful for it, but in a way I am grateful for it, because it's allowed me to really grow and be able to provide a tool and a gift to others that go through the same type of experience. Now, what we'll do in the class is, in addition to the discussion, because discussing is good, but we're actually going to be doing some inner child work. And so I'll be working with a group, and we'll be doing a group emotional process or inner child session. And so it's basically a pathway, so that way we can start helping them understand where they get to do some of that beginning work. And it's not a one-time deal and you're done and you're good and you can go home and whoop, all done. It's more of it's a progressive thing. And so there's layers, or as Donkey says, we're like parfaits, we've got layers, so we get to work on each layer. And so it gives people a starting point. And there's different modalities that they can work with if they want to work with a traditional therapist. And actually we have a wonderful licensed therapist that's going to be teaching, Kim Page. She'll be there on site. And so, but there's therapy, there's different modalities, but there's all sorts of tools, and we'll be talking about those. So that way they can leave with some type of a game plan as far as what they can do next.
Absolutely. And I know that in the first Wild Women Symposium, we were very, very careful about not diving too deep into the sexual energy realm. And what had happened was that there were, you were teaching a class and you actually shared a story. So why don't you share that story? And it kind of opened a can of worms.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, this was like my Intro to Energy Work 101. And it's interesting because I taught 2 of those classes, and the first one was true to the outline, but then the second one, it seemed like it was the second day, so I think everyone is feeling a little looser and more comfortable. And so as we were talking, one thing led to another, and I started to share a story about being in this meditation where we were basically doing a lovely meditation, but the way that I was working the energy, I started to experience this orgasm during meditation. And I'm kind of sitting there in a room full of maybe 100 other people, and and the thing is, it was an interesting experience because what I realized afterwards is this is actually Kundalini energy that starts to vibrate at the root chakra. And this thing went on for a good 30 minutes, because it would have gone on longer. However, the meditation was coming to a close, and you're like, oh man, but but it was great. And I came home, and I was talking to my husband about it, and he's like, what? And so, how do we do that again? And so it's really interesting when you start to talk about the Kundalini energy, because this is something that everyone has inside of them. And so it's awakening it, it's activating it. And so I've been on this journey of learning how to work with it, because I kind of just stumbled across it, actually. And when you use the Kundalini energy, it definitely travels up your body, but it definitely has also a connection to universe. And so if you can use it in a way to manifest, I mean, when you're it is said that when you are in that orgasmic state for that peak moment, you're really not thinking about anything, and you're vibrating like energetically, and probably everything else. You're vibrating in this capacity that you're in the zone as far as energetically being able to manifest and connect heaven and earth together. And so it's a beautiful place to be. So I know that we'll also have some other classes at the Wild Women Symposium that'll be focused on Kundalini energy. But as I was bringing this up in the Energy 101 class, the women were like, wait, what? Wait, go back. How do you do that? Teach us now. And it's like, I can't teach you in 15 minutes, but it's, come back. It was a great teaser, I guess. So come back in October, and we'll be working on that.
Absolutely. Well, and I actually love the combination that you're doing, because the combination that you're doing between the past life regressions and connecting in with the places that are unresolved and unhealed and bringing them into conscious awareness, mixing in with using the energy and accessing the Kundalini and addressing the Kundalini and learning how to move the energy up through the body, you can actually have some really profound shifts and experiences that way. And I know even for myself that it was like, I always feel like the reason I wanted to do the Wild Women Symposium is I believe things are cumulative. So you don't know what key and what door will be the final key that will pop the whole enchilada, so to speak, right? And so there's a place where, you know, you try this and you try that and you try this and you try that. And what I love about these facilitators, and you included, is that we are all big dabblers. So we have been so on the spiritual quest that we've been like, sure, I'll try that. Sure, I'll try that. And then somehow it all kind of started to form into a shape. And then that shape tended to pop a cork. And then all of a sudden this spiritual energy and this revelation energy and this grounded clarity and this stepping into your authentic self actually just naturally happens.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's so fulfilling for me to see women, you know, and as well as men, but the fact that we're focused on women, to see them start to go on that journey and then talk to them how many months later and see the progress they've made and see how they've bloomed and being able to even pick up different skills and modalities and then being able to pay it forward to others. That is what's really exciting too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now I know that we're also having a little bit of an interesting Saturday night.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about our interesting Saturday night?
Let's talk about our interesting Saturday night. You want to go first?
Okay. So what happened in the last Women's Symposium was that there's so much going on all day long, and then we have a dinner break, and what we found was a lot of the women were like, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted, you know, and they felt like they couldn't do one more thing, you know, that there was this feeling. And so we started to think, well, what would be really energizing and gentle and soothing and yet a little bit titillating and a little bit exciting, and just sheer fun without any like judgment or agenda. And so what we've come up with is a couple of different things. And so we're going to kind of have an experiential exercise of the five senses, and we're going to do things that really activate and open up the five senses, because women are sensual beings by nature. And I always say that, you know, we don't just have an orgasm one way. I mean, what's great about women is you can have an orgasm seeing a flower. I mean, women are just like, oh, did you smell that smell? You know, oh my God, chocolate, right? You know, so
chocolate, yes, chocolate.
So women have all these layers of joy that come up that are very sensual and very sexual energetically for women. And so in our very day-to-day mundane world, we get so locked in a little box. And so we're going to try and do super fun things that make you go, oh, you know, and surprises and something new and spontaneous and exciting. And so we're going to like overload your senses. We're going to try and do things that overload your senses and make you wake up and really start to laugh and giggle and really enjoy being a woman and give you permission to really enjoy being a woman.
Yes, and I'm excited because we've got some really fun things planned as far as you're mentioning, the five senses, but also like working with music and rhythm and movement. And so, and when people hear that, they're like, oh my gosh, am I having to dance? It's like, no. And you get to pick and choose what you want to do. That's what's so fun about the Wild Women Symposium. So even if you want to just come and just sit in a chair and just be amongst all of the energy, that's good too. That's all good too.
Well, and I find that as a woman, I have learned so much by watching other women. I mean, it's like, I'm like, wow, how does she do that? Like, you know, that's really interesting. You can actually do that. You can actually get away with that. And, you know, and to have that playful, teasing kind of quality. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about Saturday night because not only are you going to have a lot of fun, but it should be very relaxing, and it's not a mental strain. So we're not going to be cramming your brain to teach you something and you have to like remember a sequence or something. It's actually just about letting you have an experience, and then how far you want to take that experience is going to be completely up to you.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. And the other thing I want to mention about the symposium, because I was talking to someone about it today after one of my classes, and they were asking, like, so what is this? And, you know, what do I have to go to everything? And I said, you know, what's so great about it is that there's like the light, fluffy things that you can go learn, or you can opt into some of the more intensive types of classes. And so because we have so many facilitators teaching, that's the great thing about the symposium is you can build your agenda how you wish. So if you're feeling like, wow, day one I'm going to go intensive, but day two I think I want to do the nice, you know, softer, gentler things. It's all up to you when you register, and we have class schedules out on the Wild Women's Symposium website. You can go take a look at.
Absolutely. And what's great is that we've separated into categories of life, love, and light. So life means you want to take care of your body. You want to understand your body. You want to look at what you need to do to make your physical health the best. And then the light things are about meditation and spirituality and awareness and metaphysics and expansion and astrology and all of those things. And then the love section is about sexuality and intimacy and relationships and passion and the deeper emotional things that sometimes are harder to access. So like Jackie just said, you can flavor this however you want to flavor it. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to create a movement of women supporting women. So the idea with this is that we find the best facilitators that we can find, the ones that we think have some incredible gifts and tools and skills to share, and we bring them in and you get to try them all out. And then you also get to, you know, find yourself in this process. And then we also have incredible vendors that are also supporting women's businesses, you know, women who are entrepreneurs, women who are supporting women in other countries. So the whole idea here is that as you open as a woman and your heart opens, then you'll also want to help women in other areas in different ways. And so we're trying to create a community of women that's not about jealousy or competition, but about allowing every woman to be the most beautiful flower they are in a huge garden.
I love it. I love it. The last thing that I'll be giving or providing to the group during the weekend is that I will be bringing my bioenergetic scanner. I work with clients on that level, and I'll be doing emotional stressor testing. And so if you've ever heard of Bach flowers or flower essences, basically I'll be scanning people and guests there for free and helping them identify what types of stress that they might be holding, the emotions that they might be holding within their bodies. And these can be helped with beautiful homeopathics. Bach flower is one that you can see at the herbal stores, actually at the health food stores, and we'll also give you some printouts so that way you can read more about it. And this is another way of learning what are those emotional things that you might be carrying in your backpack that get to have some work on. So come to the table, get your scan done, and then that way you at least maybe even have some more information that you can go into some of these classes and say, wow, I am very stringent-minded. I'm carrying stress because I have to have things perfect. Maybe I get to work on letting things go. So that'll be a fun way of giving some people some other pieces of information to put their puzzle together.
Absolutely. I mean, I know for myself, because I'm at the age where I'm going through menopause, and because I tend to be so self-aware, it's like I've noticed that every time I stress, I get a hot flash within 5 minutes. And it's like I know I'm doing it to myself, and that's what's even worse. I'm like, oh, man. So, I mean, I think that all of us do this in greater and lesser degrees. I mean, I know for myself that I have migraines, and my migraines are totally a symptom of overwhelm. So the moment I get into overwhelm, within hours, I will have a migraine. And so it's this marker. And so when you have the biomechanical machines that actually can really say, you're doing this, it makes it so much easier, because it took me like 5 years to figure out why I was getting a migraine, because I didn't have a machine that was going, oh, by the way, it's overwhelm. And that would have simplified quite a bit. I wish you'd had that machine when these started.
It's definitely very helpful. It is indeed.
Absolutely. So again, you can go online to www.wildwomensymposium.com. We've got an Eventbrite scheduler right there. You can actually go online. You can register for the event. We have a special that's still happening right now. It's an early bird special. And so you just go to the promo code and type in early bird, and you will get a 40% discount on the event. The ticket is normally $200 for Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. But you can get it for much cheaper right now if you jump really quickly. So, and we also have one-day passes, and if you wanted to just come on Saturday or just come on Sunday.
It'll be a lot of fun, so I hope I see you there, because I am ready to play. And the fact that we're staying at the hotel, and I know that I've talked to a lot of people that are booking their rooms because they're making it a girls' retreat, a girls' weekend. And so how fun is that? How often do we get those? So that's a great gift to self.
Well, and it's so beautiful at that time of the year in Park City. The colors will be happening, and we also have a special that is for 3 goddesses and or 5 goddesses. So if you do 3 women that want to come together, it's $120 instead of $200 for the ticket. And if you have 5 women, it's $112 for the weekend, which makes this a really, you know, competitive priced weekend for you to get away for an entire weekend and go to Park City and stay and have fun. And we'll also be staying up there at the Prospector, and so who knows, you might see us in the hot tub.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Jackie, so much for talking to us today, and I will see you at the Wild Women Symposium.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.